Have you ever wondered whether the world's next great source of protein might be hiding in plain sight? Pulse's lentils, chickpeas, cowpeas are celebrated for their protein, yet there is a plant that quietly eclipses them. Its seeds hold roughly 30 to 40% protein, rivaling soybeans and far ahead of mung beans or cowpeas. Farmers in parts of Asia and the Pacific call it the supermarket on a stem because every part can be eaten pods, seeds, leaves, and even underground tubers. Yet outside of local gardens, it's virtually invisible. Another candidate for this hidden superfood crown grows not on land, but on water. Tiny green fronds, rich in complete protein and all essential amino acids. These water lentils multiply so fast, they cover ponds overnight, but you rarely see them in markets. Why have these remarkable plants slipped under the radar? What forces kept them out of our fields and off our plates? Today, we unravel a botanical mystery that stretches from tropical fields to European regulatory agencies. Stay with me, the answer is as much about human choices as it is about plant biology. In much of the world, pulses are the workhorses of nutrition. When meat is scarce or expensive, legumes fill the gap. They fix nitrogen from the air, enrich soils, and provide inexpensive protein. Lentils and chickpeas contain roughly 20 to 24% protein, and people have cultivated them for millennia. Global demand for plant protein is rising. Population growth, environmental pressures, and a shift toward plant-based diets spur the search for sustainable alternatives. During the 1970s, scientists scanned the tropics for hopeful plants that could meet these needs, and one candidate stood out. Researchers noted that its seeds contained 30 to 40% protein and up to 20% oil, and that even the leaves and tubers surpassed 20% protein. It nodulated easily, enriching soil fertility, and early trials in Indonesia produced yields exceeding 2 tons per hectare. The plant seemed almost too good to be true, a legume with the nutritional richness of soy that could thrive where soy failed. Historians of science sometimes refer to this vine, the winged bean, as the legume that almost changed the world. In the early 1970s, the U.S. National Academy of Sciences highlighted it as a promising underutilized crop, noting that all parts were edible and protein-rich. Seeds combined high protein and oil, and the vine's heavy nodulation could improve soil fertility. Publicity followed. For a moment, it seemed this vine would transform tropical agriculture. Then, reality intervened as challenges emerged. Winged bean seeds are unusually rich in both protein and oil, and this dual value prompted researchers in the 1970s to suggest pressing its seeds into cooking oil, fermenting tubers, and blending the flour into baby foods. A few experiments even produced a nutty non-dairy milk, hinting at the plant's versatility. Another part of the winged bean story lies beneath the soil. It produces tuberous roots that resemble potatoes. These tubers contain 12 to 19% protein, more than many cereals, and provide both starch and protein in one package. Together with the pods, seeds, leaves, and flowers, the tubers underpin the nickname supermarket on a stem. However, digging up tubers without damaging vines adds to labor, and the seed oil's potential for food processing remains largely untapped. This underscores how even versatility can translate into complexity for farmers. And then there is the seed itself. Winged bean seeds have a hard coat that requires scarification to germinate. Inside the seed, protease inhibitors and hemagglutinins interfere with digestion. Fortunately, these compounds are deactivated by thorough cooking, but the time and fuel needed to boil them deter large-scale planting. When combined with the plant's sensitivity today, length, moisture, and pests, these seed-related challenges show why this crop needs careful management rather than simple sowing. Could a legume once hailed as the soybean of the tropics be languishing because of the way it senses daylight? Our investigation begins in the humid hills of Papua New Guinea and Southeast Asia, where farmers have long cultivated winged bean. Traditional diets use every part pods, leaves, tubers, and seeds, and harvest feasts celebrate the vine. A comparative study showed its seeds averaging 36.6% protein, far higher than peas or cowpeas, with abundant lysine and oil rich in unsaturated fats. Yet, the plant remained obscure outside the tropics until scientists promoted it in the 1970s. It went by many names: Goa bean, dragon bean, cigarelle, and princess bean, and its star-shaped pods dangled from vines that could reach several meters. Farmers trained the vines on bamboo lattices, plucked the pods for curry, stir-fried the leaves like spinach, and roasted the seeds like peanuts. In Papua New Guinea, elders tell stories of missionaries bringing the plant and of how it fed villages during times of scarcity. But beyond these communities, few people had heard of the vine until seeds were shipped to research stations on 4 continents and newspapers trumpeted the soybean of the tropics. Pilot plots sprang up from Kenya to the Philippines, with some scientists predicting it might free tropical regions from soybean imports. Efforts to spread the crop soon ran into barriers. Winged bean only flowers under short days and grows slowly at first. It thrives in warm, humid climates, but is sensitive to drought and waterlogging. Its hard seeds need scarification to germinate, and protease inhibitors require long cooking to neutralize. Pests and diseases are common, and there's been little breeding to improve yields. Day-neutral lines exist, but vines still need trellises. Pods ripen unevenly, and Western palates remain unfamiliar with their flavor. The vine's early growth is painfully slow, leaving seedlings vulnerable to weeds. Farmers must weed by hand or risk losing the crop. Because the pods ripen over months rather than all at once, harvest becomes a long, staggered process, and seeds cling stubbornly to their tough shells. Could the problem be less about farming and more about markets? Let's compare this to a plant that floats. By contrast, duckweed tiny floating plants like Wolfia and Lemna seems poised to excel on water. Some species contain 20 to 30% protein by dry mass, supply all essential amino acids, and yield more protein per hectare than land crops. They grow without soil, doubling within days and purifying wastewater. But obstacles remain. EFSA classifies them as novel foods, with approval only in 2025 and conditions on manganese content. The intense green color and marine aftertaste deter many consumers. Some species accumulate heavy metals or microbes. And supply chains for harvesting and processing remain nascent. Duckweed, meanwhile, is the world's smallest flowering plant. Resembling tiny flat discs, a kilogram contains millions of fronds. They reproduce vegetatively, splitting in 2 every few days. In Thailand and Laos, water lentils, known as kai nam or phak nam, have long been added to soups and salads, but in the West, they are dismissed as algae. When European regulators looked at them, they insisted on data on heavy metal uptake, pesticide residues, and allergenicity. Producers also struggled with the logistics of drying and powdering such tiny plants without compromising their color or nutrients. According to some analyses, 1 hectare of duckweed could produce as much usable protein as 10 hectares of soybean, thanks to the frond's rapid doubling time and ability to capture nutrients from water. The amino acid profile is similar to animal proteins like whey or egg, making it attractive for sports nutrition and plant-based meat. Duckweed also offers tailored nutrition. It provides bioavailable vitamin B12 and a complete amino acid profile. High levels of branched-chain amino acids with 89% digestibility and bioactive compounds that may moderate blood glucose and support cardiovascular health. Research points to peptides that may moderate postprandial glucose and to antioxidant pigments that give the fronds their intense green color. For elderly people at risk of sarcopenia, the branched-chain amino acid content could help maintain muscle mass. These properties inspire visions of functional foods and even life support systems in space. But mass acceptance requires infrastructure and regulation. Comparisons across cultures underscore how context shapes adoption. In Thailand, water lentils appear in salads, yet in Europe, they are viewed as feed. Farmers in Myanmar and Papua New Guinea value winged bean enough to hold feasts, while in the West, it remains a novelty. Novel foods must navigate not just agronomy and regulation, but also taste, tradition, and marketing. Might the answer to healthy aging and climate-resilient farming really be pond scum? By now, the pattern is clear. Nutritional excellence alone does not guarantee adoption. The winged bean's exceptional protein and oil content and duckweed's complete amino acid profile are necessary but not sufficient. Each plant faces a web of obstacles, some biological, some cultural, some economic. For the winged bean, the chief biological barrier is photoperiod sensitivity. Most varieties require short days to flower, which confines them to equatorial regions. Breeding day neutral types is possible, but it takes time and investment. Growth habits also hamper mechanization. Vines need trellises and labor-intensive harvesting, making them less attractive than bushy soybeans or peas. Seeds germinate poorly without scarification, and pods harbor anti-nutritional compounds that require prolonged cooking. Even with these challenges, breeding programs remain sparse. Farmers rely on heterogeneous landraces that produce inconsistent yields. In a world where crop research budgets are finite, established commodities like soybean attract investment, while orphan crops languish. Duckweed faces fewer agronomic constraints, but more regulatory and cultural barriers. Being small and fast-growing, it can be cultivated in controlled systems almost anywhere. However, because it was not widely eaten in Europe before 1997, regulators classify it as a novel food. Companies must gather safety data, which is expensive and time-consuming. Even after approval, consumers may balk at eating pond plants. Early surveys note limited acceptance due to its strong color and marine aftertaste. There are also legitimate safety concerns. Duckweeds can accumulate heavy metals or harbor pathogens, so cultivation must be carefully managed. Finally, supply chains are not yet developed. Farmers and processors lack equipment for harvesting tiny fronds and for drying or powdering them at scale. Without demand, investment remains low. Without investment, supply stays unreliable. It's a classic chicken and egg problem. If we solved these bottlenecks, would the world embrace these plants? Let's explore the possibilities. What would happen if we overcame the obstacles? Consider a future where breeding and biotechnology yield winged beans that flower under long days, produce uniform pods, and have reduced anti-nutritional factors. Because the plant fixes nitrogen abundantly, farmers could grow it in rotation with cereals, improving soil fertility and reducing fertilizer use. Tubers with 12 to 19% protein could provide a new root vegetable. Leaves and flowers would expand culinary diversity. The bean's oil, rich in unsaturated fatty acids, might serve as a healthier alternative to palm oil. By embracing trellis systems and intercropping, smallholders could integrate winged bean into agroecological designs, providing both protein and soil restoration. Imagine also scaling up duckweed cultivation. Covered ponds or bioreactors could harvest millions of tiny fronds daily, with yields dwarfing soy or wheat per hectare of water surface. Because water lentils are rich in branched-chain amino acids and have digestibility around 89%, they could support specialized diets for the elderly or vegans. In controlled systems, heavy metal contamination could be prevented, and the spent water could fertilize other crops. Processors could dry and powder water lentils as ingredients for pasta, bakery products, or plant-based meat analogs. With proper marketing, the intense green might become a badge of nutrient density rather than a deterrent. In integrated farming systems, floating duckweed could complement winged beans. Ponds seeded with lemna or wolffia could feed fish and poultry, while the nutrient-rich wastewater irrigates winged bean vines on the banks. Such closed loops would maximize protein production from minimal land and fertilizer. Polyculture systems that combine ponds with vegetables and legumes already exist in parts of Southeast Asia. Farmers feed duckweed to fish, use the fish waste as fertilizer, and irrigate crops with nutrient-rich water. By recycling nutrients in this loop, they reduce reliance on synthetic fertilizers and increase protein yields. Because duckweed's protein yield per hectare can exceed that of soybeans, and its amino acid profile resembles animal proteins, it may also serve as a feed for fish and poultry, indirectly supplying high-quality protein to human diets. Could the synergy of vines and floating fronds rewrite the future of farming? These scenarios are not entirely fanciful. Day-neutral winged bean lines already exist, and several startups are commercializing duckweed powders. EFSA's approval signals a regulatory path forward. Yet, the obstacles also hint at broader lessons. Our food system tends to favor crops that fit existing machinery, supply chains, and tastes. Plants that do not conform must either adapt or remain marginal. In an era of climate change and resource scarcity, might we need to broaden our palette to include these renegades? The story of the winged bean and water lentils is a reminder that nutritional value is only one piece of the agricultural puzzle. These plants boast protein levels that eclipse pulses and offer ecological benefits. Yet their adoption is hindered by photoperiod sensitivity, slow early growth, processing challenges, and anti-nutritional factors, as well as consumer perceptions and regulatory barriers. Addressing these issues demands investment in research, breeding, supply chain infrastructure, and public education. It also requires humility. Our food system is shaped by culture and convenience as much as by nutrition. For a protein-rich plant to become a staple, it must fit into farmers' fields, processors' factories, and diners' tastes. Long before science took notice, these plants were part of indigenous diets, rediscovering and improving overlooked crops, and connecting traditional knowledge with modern research can make food systems more resilient. As climate change intensifies and populations grow, diversifying our agriculture could relieve pressure on land and water while offering nutritional diversity. Winged bean and duckweed could play a role if benefits are shared equitably among farmers and consumers. Perhaps the next superfood doesn't need to be discovered, just rediscovered. In the end, the question, why don't we farm it, reveals a deeper truth. Hidden within the diversity of plants are countless opportunities, but realizing them involves more than discovering a superfood. It requires aligning biology, technology, markets, and traditions. The winged bean and duckweed may never displace soybeans and lentils, but they remind us that our current staples were once obscure. Perhaps the next food revolution will spring from a humble vine with star-shaped pods or a carpet of green floating on a pond. The only way to know is to look beyond the familiar and keep our curiosity alive. Closing line? If the supermarket on a stem and the salad from a pond teach us anything, it's that the foods of the future may be hiding where we least expect them.